Welcome everyone to our Igniting Cultural Capital series in partnership with UBS. As longtime supporters, they're such an important ally for founders and funders, where culture is really key to building inclusive capital ecosystems. And for that, I'm extremely grateful. So thank you all for joining us today. And please know that you all are the key to igniting conversations around the importance of cultural capital. For those who may not know by now, I am Corey Hale, CEO and co-founder of Culture Banks. And today we're going to discuss the importance of igniting cultural capital within the artificial intelligence ecosystem. However, I'd like to start by having Melinda Hightower join me. She is the head of multicultural strategic client segments for UBS. Hi, Melinda.
Hey, Corey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? I'm so happy that you're able to join us for this series.
I'm delighted to be here. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today. And we're so thrilled to be partnering with you and with Culture Banks on this series.
Yes, well, you know what, as we kick off part 3 of this Igniting Cultural Capital series with our session today, I'd love for you to share how UBS's multicultural strategy really aligns with the important role cultural capital plays for various client segments at UBS.
Happy to, Corey. And I'm really excited for today's conversation on igniting cultural capital in artificial intelligence, and really to learn more about how Parfait is leading the charge for more equitable access to AI. And that's because, like AI, more equitable, inclusive access is much needed in the financial industry. And at UBS, our client segments business was started about 5 years ago with the understanding that financial industry and wealth management in particular needed to work better for all of us. So we started with the women's segment, and most recently with my segment, Multicultural Investors. We're working to ensure a more inclusive investor experience with access to the innovative ideas, the engaged people, and the tailored solutions that will best serve multicultural investors. And for my segment, that's really meant listening to, amplifying, and addressing the unique wealth journeys of the millions of Black, Hispanic, and Latino, and Asian American investors in the US. In our research, we found that while the majority of high net worth individuals owe their wealth primarily to investments, multicultural investors are only half as likely to do so. That's because, having faced financial exclusion, they've really charted their own wealth journeys, and those journeys are much more likely to include other paths, particularly entrepreneurship. So it's our mission to ensure that those wealth journeys and experiences are reflected in our people, our advice, and our solutions. And we're so confident, and we deeply believe that the continuous innovation required is going to allow us to better serve all investors.
Yes, I think that's something that you guys are leaning into more and more at UBS. And I know that Culture Banks is very grateful for that. One more quick question, Melinda, for you is what are some of the cultural capital catalysts, in your opinion, that UBS really uses to tap into creating a more inclusive capital ecosystem?
Sure. I think it goes back to our purpose at UBS, which is really reimagining the power of investing and connecting people for a better world. And so the multicultural segment is not alone in that journey. There are a number of groups at UBS that are really working to create a more equitable future. And one incredible example is the Community Impact Americas team, which really infuses cultural capital into its work at the firm by driving inclusive growth in communities that really not only historically, but continue to be denied truly equitable access to opportunities and capital, particularly women and people of color. And while female founders and funders are at the forefront of leading and driving today's innovation economy, the data still shows us that they face the greatest barriers. And that's why the team here at UBS focuses on developing programs and partnerships that center founders who have been under-resourced to not only level the playing field, but also to help accelerate the growth of their companies. And I know that Community Impact is excited to work with Corey, you and Culture Banks, our longtime partner on this series, to change narratives, to shine a light on those trends, those experts and leaders whose stories are undertold, but are critical to drive inclusive growth going forward.
Well, we are definitely grateful for this partnership, and of course for you, Melinda, joining us throughout this series. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's jump right into our conscious conversation around igniting cultural capital. So our excellent panelists today include Isakin Igbenadian, who is the co-founder and CEO of Parfait. The company integrates facial recognition and artificial intelligence to provide buyers with customizable wig products. She recently closed a seed round that was spearheaded by Upfront Ventures and Serena Ventures. Iso started her career at Target in operations focused on driving in-store process improvement, labor optimization, omni-channel distribution, and fulfillment strategies, where she developed an interest in last mile technologies. Soon after, she moved to Amazon, as a regional area manager for Prime Now. She is an MBA graduate from the University of Pennsylvania's the Wharton School, that famed Wharton School of Business. And also, we have a pioneer for entrepreneurs of color in venture capital, fund manager Avia Nguyen from True Capital, which is a global wealth management firm that specializes in guiding diverse clients across sports, entertainment, and entrepreneurism to financial security and generational wealth. Notably, everyone, Avia is spearheading the True Culture Fund, which is the firm's first fund dedicated to investing in Black founders and fund managers. She has a goal of helping Black founders close their rounds and raise subsequent rounds, which is notoriously challenging for founders of color. Thank you both for being a part of this conversation today. And Iso, I'm gonna kick things off with you because the majority of Black female founders, they have a very, very hard time of raising $1 million or more. So I'd love for you to tell us about your path to becoming a venture-backed company, along with the unique space that Parfait operates in.
Yeah, our path was interesting to navigate, specifically because we operate in this really unique intersection of AI, consumer products, manufacturing technology, and beauty. So we really had to figure out how to make sure investors were valuing the business correctly and ensuring that they really understood that we were a tech company first, and that they really understood that first and foremost about what we were building. And it was challenging to really get them there because as Black women raising money, we're often really pigeonholed into being a company exclusively for our community, but we're savvy business operators and we're computer scientists. So we're using those skills to really build a leading tech and DTC company.
I love that you guys are being this type of savvy, especially to help out, women look beautiful with customizable wig products. Can you give us a little more insight though to how it actually works with Parfait?
Yeah, absolutely. So the process is actually pretty simple for a consumer. Our algorithms are able to actually measure the circumference of your head. It understands the hairline pattern of your hairline. If you have a low one, if you have a widow's peak, it understands the density of your hair. And we use that technology to fuel our manufacturing process. We really designed this on-demand novel manufacturing process that allows us to really quadruple the capacity of a stylist without ever having to sacrifice quality and speed. And we've really done this by starting by standardizing the customization and styling process to really make sure that expectations equal reality, which is really just further enhanced by these digital tools that we've developed for stylists to ensure quality and repeatability. And so these capabilities right now allow us to ship custom wigs and extensions within 5 to 7 business days from purchase to delivery to your door.
I love that. I'm like sold. Like, where do I sign up? How do I get in on this Parfait movement? I love everything about this company and what you all are building. And someone who's helping you build, one of your investors joining us, as we introed already, is Avia, who is definitely not new to the venture capital game. And I know, Avia, that you really understand this, that investors typically invest in people, right, who look like them and are perhaps from their community, with 70% of venture capitalists being white, 26% are Asian, and only 3% of them are Black. Can you share with us why prioritizing underrepresented female founders can really create an untapped market opportunity for you all at True Capital's Culture Fund?
Absolutely. Because women are incredible, Corey, but unfortunately, we are all too often sidelined as consumers, despite our unparalleled purchasing powers. Female founders are uniquely positioned to recognize the biggest opportunities for growth in untapped markets. For example, Iso and her team identified a growing international market, the wig industry, According to Technavio market research, the wig and extensions market is set to grow by $4.6 billion by 2025. The biggest market right now is Asia Pacific, following North America, and Middle East, North Africa. It's truly a global phenomenon. I'm thrilled and honored to be a supporter and investor in this company. And to add to that, they recognize that AI and facial recognition databases were not only severely lacking in data sets of Black women, but also women of all backgrounds. The data set that they're creating will be one of their biggest assets as we move into an AI-powered world.
Avia, I can't agree with you more. I mean, the data is there in terms of what is going wrong. Dark-skinned women, 34+% of the time misidentified when it comes to artificial intelligence. So we need this type of technology, right, to help level the playing field when it comes to AI. And I love that you talked about the growth, right, in this particular market, especially Isa, because you guys just closed that $5 million funding round earlier this year. And that wig extension market expected to hit more than $13 billion by 2026. That's according to a report published by Research and Markets. In your opinion, though, what role does cultural capital play when it comes to creating access to a bigger share of this market for Parfait?
Yeah, I think having ground level experience in the problem that you're solving is invaluable to us at Parfait. The women's wig industry, with its biggest consumers being US Black women, is one of the most fragmented beauty sectors, with disparities in product quality among unlimited choices. So we've experienced our own struggles with finding high quality and affordable wigs. And so we've also experienced how modern AI and facial recognition biases are really baked into the technology that we're using every day. So just a few months ago, one of my co-founders and my sister was on a Zoom call with investors where all of a sudden the background blurring filter was having a hard time recognizing her hair, was having a hard time recognizing her face. She started to kind of turn into a little bit of a ghost. And so it's just really a real world example of the problems that we're really looking to tackle and address.
Which definitely makes perfect sense. I love that you guys are tackling this. And the statistic that you gave about Black women here in the US being, one of the largest, if not the largest consumer group for this particular product, it makes perfect sense. Avia, I got to throw it back to you here because as a serial investor, I'll just go ahead and put you in that category. When you think about the investing ecosystem, is an inclusive investing strategy and building up diverse-led startups something that's a major key to success?
Corey, investing in often underserved markets is how you can guarantee the market actually has the space for growth. Having a diversity lens as a part of the True Culture Fund's investment strategy is an asset, not a hindrance, not to mention an incredible business opportunity. Sometimes when I'm pitching LPs, the assumption will be, you are building an impact fund. This is charity. We're not going to get our money back. And that is absolutely not true. Like, not only do I have a fiduciary duty to get a significant ROI for my investors, but my partner Travis and I wholeheartedly believe that we are investing in the very best founders and the very best companies. To date, we have about 60 companies in our portfolio, and I can confidently say that we have an incredibly strong portfolio comprised of some of the most brilliant and capable founders that I've encountered. One of those being Iso and Simone, and the Parfait team. Parfait's AI and data collection are prime examples of this. AI and computer vision technology have been at the forefront of tech research for years. The primary research base for this emerging and growing tech is white men. In a future world where everything is going to be based on AI recognition and tech, we have to make sure that Black and brown people are addressed. Imagine a self-driving car that won't start because the technology simply doesn't recognize them. The applications are endless.
I couldn't agree with you more. And as we move, especially, I love you brought up cars to a bigger electric vehicle market. How upset would one be if they got in their car and it didn't recognize them based on the color of their skin? I would be heated after I put out a good amount of money for an electric vehicle, just saying.
My iPhone used to not recognize me when I first got it and I was doing the whole facial recognition thing. If I weren't in peak sunlight, it wouldn't open.
That's unfortunate, and also why I never set up the facial recognition situation on my iPhone. So I understand exactly what you mean there. All right, one final question. I'm going to throw this out to both of you all, because in some ways we are seeing the needle move when it comes to shifting the paradigm on cultural capital in general across the entire entrepreneurial ecosystem. So what else are we getting right that makes you both extremely optimistic about this space? Who'd like to take that one first?
Yeah, I think I can take it first. I think the shift in focusing on outcomes rather than just access makes me really optimistic. So often we see access to resources as the ultimate roadblock. And for many, that is still the case. But really shifting our focus to ensure that these resources also come with expert knowledge. They also come with a powerful network, that you are being amplified by influential voices that come before you, really ensuring that you have the best chance at success. That support is something that I'm continuing to see in the space personally, and it's extremely exciting to be a part of.
Yeah, and how about you, Avia?
Well, I can't quite pinpoint what else we're getting right because I still see dismal numbers when it comes to funding underrepresented founders and a lot of room for improvement. I can say that I'm excited that we're starting to see the data around why backing women and minority founders is good for business. Those who have received funding are building impressive companies. Diverse teams outperform homogenous teams. Female founders are outperforming male founders. And this is not my opinion, it's a fact. And that's what I'm optimistic about.
Well, see, I'm glad you were able, Avia, to find the silver lining somewhere in there, because at the end of the day, right, we want to be a bit, glass half full as we continue to build out this ecosystem. And it takes people like the three of us here to continue to uplift other female founders, founders of colors, and fund managers of color who are really trying to make this space grow. So with that, that wraps up our Q&A session, everyone, which means get excited. We're going into our rapid fire section. And Iso, this just means, and Avia, you just throw out the first thing that comes to your mind when I throw these questions out at you all. All right, so we're ready to kick it off. Iso, I'm going to start with you. What motivates you to keep going and why?
Yeah, my customers and my community motivate me. We deserve so much better than the substandard product and service outcomes we're seeing in AI and the beauty industry right now. And so I do it for them and I do it for my customers.
All right, I love that. Avia, we're going to keep it moving here. What are 3 skills people need to become successful entrepreneurs?
I mean, the hard skills, i.e. basic understanding of business and finance or marketing, are obviously necessary. But I believe the soft skills are what enables an entrepreneur to truly be successful. 3 that I'd highlight are effective communication, self-awareness, and the ability to confidently sell yourself and your product.
Confidence is always key, or as Lotto says, you just need to have some big energy around whatever you're doing. I'm sorry, guys. See, I get too culturally relevant at times. Excuse that reference, everyone. All right, Iso, back to you though. What time of day are you most productive?
I would say early morning, but always after coffee. Without it, I am not productive at all.
All right, so you need your coffee to get your day started. Okay, Avia, back over to you. What is your favorite life hack?
Oh, Corey, this one was so hard to narrow down. There's so many, but I would say saying no more often. I feel like as women, we are people pleasers. We always say yes, and setting boundaries for my time and energy. It's been a game changer.
Hey, I hear that. You have to protect your peace at all costs. Okay, Iso, what is the one app that you cannot live without?
Ooh, I think I would go with Evernote, actually. It allows me to really stay up on industry trends, and it just helps me keep myself organized.
You know what? I would agree with that. The Notes app on my iPhone is something that I could not live without at all. All right, Avia, back on over to you. What is the one book you feel has changed your life?
I
know it's hard to narrow down to one.
Yes, it's so hard to narrow down. And this might be a shocking answer because it's a children's book, but it's The Little Prince. I first read it in French in elementary school and then read it again in a children's literature class in college. And I think it just reiterates the importance of maintaining your childlike spirit, innocence, and sense of wonder and exploration. I tried to read it every few years, and it's a staple for me.
Avia, I feel like there was a lot to unpack there with not just it being a children's book, but the fact you read it in French and then that you took a children's literature class. There's a lot, but we don't have time because it's a rapid fire question. That's going to have to be for a whole other Culture Banks session. This is the final rapid fire. It's going to go out to both of you. What song is currently on repeat on your playlist? Issa, let's start with you.
Oh yeah, I think you actually took it already. I was definitely going to say Big Energy by Lotto and Mariah Carey. I'm loving that, but really it's the queens who are like killing it right now in the music industry that are really helping me be confident. And so my playlist is all about really strong women in the industry, like giving confidence to other women.
All right, and how about you, Avia?
I have two. One is probably on everyone's playlist right now, Jack Harlow's First Class. Like I listen to it over and over and over. But also a throwback that I've been into recently is Jessica Simpson's I Think I'm in Love with You. It's so good.
Okay, that's telling. That's telling, Avia. All right. Well,
No, I'm not in love with anyone. I just love the song.
All right, and shout out to Jessica Simpson, who hasn't dropped an album since the early 2000s. Okay, so she dug deep into the playlist to try to find that particular number. But see, this is why we have to bring this up, because the people want to get to know you all better. And I am so grateful to both of you for joining us for this Igniting Cultural Capital series. It is founders and funders like you that help Culture Banks continue to tell these great stories. And for that, I am extremely grateful. And to everyone in our audience watching, reading about what's going on here, I want to just thank you all as well. We are going to be back next month with another version of this series, and stay tuned for that information on culturebanks.com. Make sure you subscribe to our newsletter, and we'll see you all next time.